All right, we're here with Roger Reina, that's me, head coach at Penn, and Brandon Slay, head coach and executive director of the Pennsylvania Olympic Regional Training Center, and Coach Chase Pami. And we're going to spend some time this morning talking about, Chase's reflection on his years at Penn. He's moving off to a new venture in Las Vegas to launch Gold Rush Wrestling Academy. And so both his service to the PRTC and as a coach at Penn Wrestling, we want to take this opportunity to talk with Chase. So welcome. Good morning, Chase.
Good morning.
I'll lead off with the first question here, which is, what are the biggest changes you've noticed in the culture of Penn Wrestling and the PRTC, since you came to Philly here in 2016?
The PRTC, I think when I came here, I'll start with that. I thought was just from an opportunity was really similar to kind of like a startup. It was in the infancy stages and really didn't have necessarily the mission and the vision and the core values that it has now. But I was, it was something I was excited to be part of. And I remember talking to Andy Motter, Brett Motter, and Clint Motter's dad about this. And I felt like it was something where you're getting in on the ground floor and you weren't really sure what to expect. I had expectations coming in, not a lot. I was just kind of along for the ride and excited to see what it could be. But I think over the years, seeing that the core values have developed out of it and the mission, the mission is enriching lives both locally and globally. That really came out that first year I was there. And then really just solidified after 4 years of being here, the core values, faith over fear, full effort, serve others, struggle well. And those are values that I believe as an organization, the PRTC truly embraces and values. There's a bigger picture than just the wrestling, just the gold medals, although that's important. But I've seen that the emphasis that we've really, that the organization has really owned this and found a way to practically, live this out. And so truly exciting on that part of it. And then the Penn Wrestling side of things, kind of the two biggest things that I would say is the alumni, the presence of the alumni and the community that has come together. I think when I first came here, it was, you knew kind of the main people, but there's a lot of different levels of alumni and even people that were involved. You go all the way back to the Dave Schultz Wrestling Club and a lot of people that might not have been necessarily Penn coaches or on staff, but were in some way involved. And you see those people starting to come around a lot more. And that's inspiring to coaches and athletes to see who laid the ground before them and what things were like before them. You're talking about 20 years ago, before some of these guys were even born. And so I think there's been a huge value in that. And then just the vision of the program. We talk about as a core value, aiming big. And I think, a lot of times it's easy just to think of aiming big as on the wrestling mat, but there's so much more to that. And I've seen aiming big and I've seen vision in really all the areas, whether it be, on the mat and becoming a top 5 team and taking ground that we've never taken before. You talk about academically and more academic All-Americans, talk about fundraising and what it really takes to do something like this behind the scenes. And then as far as even like the mentorship program and putting guys in jobs beyond college. So it's a lot bigger than just the stuff on the mat. And I think that vision has become really clear. And those who jump on board know where they're going. They know what they're going to be a part of before they're ever part of it. So they know what they're committing to.
Before I get into my question, I want to share a video that I think is really special to kind of tee up my question here. So this illustration right here is really special to me because this was the best performance you ever had at the U.S. Open, Chase. And I watched you, coached you at the Olympic Training Center, get 4th in the Olympic trials in 2012, losing by a ball pull in the 3rd period to Josh Torella and coming that close to making your national team that year. And then I watched you in 2014, also finished 4th in the World Team Trials. The only match you lost was to Jordan Oliver. And then to be able to join the PRTC and in 2017 in your first competitive year at the PRTC, to be able to get 3rd in the U.S. Open and beat a guy, as we know, as a multiple-time national champ and a national team member. And then what a lot of people don't know about this particular win, which is really special, is that you lost a really close first round match to a guy named Tommy Gant, who, ended up being one of the top contenders at 74 kilo. So at first, it was kind of, you were frustrated yourself, but you had to make that internal commitment to struggle well, to have faith over fear, and to make this commitment to give full effort the rest of this tournament. And what a lot of people don't know is you lost your first match and then you won 7 matches in a row to get third place in this tournament. I think that really just shows true grit in this regard. And what I want to really kind of ask you in regards to that is that, how do you feel like you've developed personally in the last 5 years you've spent at Penn and the PRTC, just based on everything you've gone through? How have you developed personally?
I'd really speak to that video and kind of going back to that core value. We talked about struggle well. I think struggle well is something that pulls over into my own personal life, whether it have been family struggles or different things along the way. And even that tournament right there, that ability to kind of struggle well, really, I would say it leads into celebrating the small wins. You ask about how it developed along the way. And really, when you lose a match first round, it's going to be a long road. You can't be looking 7 matches down the road thinking, how am I going to do this? It's the small wins, coming back to the line, being in your stance, scoring the next takedown. It really becomes one moment at a time. And I think even that next match, I was down 7 or 8-0, about to go 0-2, and just decided to let it fly and hit an arm throw, and that kind of got the ball rolling. But it was one small win. And I think for me, I'm such a big picture thinker. I'm very, not always really good at being down in the details. But I think my development, being part of Penn, being part of the PRTC, is learning to celebrate those small wins and the day-to-day victories. With my family, I have parents that are older and have health issues. And so really one thing I've been able to pull over to my own life is I talk with my parents each day or every other day, and we talk about what are the small wins, because you're never guaranteed the next day with them or even the next moment. So we discuss, what was a small win? What was a small positive today that we can take away and build on? And really that keeps you in the moment. It keeps you in the moment and really allows you to build momentum moving forward. And I think, that's just been a huge part of both the competitive side, but really transitioning to the coaching side, getting on the other side of it, learning how to see that in my life, but also in the lives of other athletes. I'd say the other thing is I kind of like this idea of speaking truth. It really is kind of come to me in the last couple months. But I think as an organization and just even as a team, we talk about being team players, whether it's wrestlers on the team or even as staff. But really to continue to go to the next level and continue to keep growing, we need each other. We need people. I need people. And I think I've really learned to value speaking encouragement, but also being able to be truthful and honest with whether it be a wrestler or whether it be a member on staff or even, Roger, who asked for feedback and to be truthful in how he can continue to grow. And I think that kind of culture has really been fostered, and really have learned to take that, and something I'll take into kind of the next realm of my life. And, and I'd say the last thing is just maybe more on a professional level. And this is something that, this was the first coming out of competing. This was the first job that I really had. So there's workflows and there's an adjustment period. You got to kind of learn to manage, sometimes 3 or 4 or 5 different things a day, and trying to, put data into a computer and then make, 5 phone calls and then come back to, sending emails. And so there's just a lot of different things that come with that. And that's something that's progress and growth, and it takes time. And I'm still in that process of learning that. But I would say my workflow, my efficiency and ability to be able to jump from thing to thing and flow from thing to thing has gotten smoother than maybe that first year or so.
Yeah. Definitely, we appreciate you sharing those reflections, Chase. And as you're thinking about, going on with this new venture Gold Rush in Las Vegas and your academy launch there, it's also a moment in time where you can, reflect back on, the legacy that you hope to leave, here at Penn Wrestling and with the PRTC. So as you reflect back and what legacy or, impact do you hope to leave behind?
Yep. I think for me, everything is relational. Very, very valuable to me, the relationships along the way. And not just surface level, but authentic, genuine relationships. And part of being here for 4 years, versus 2 or 3, you really get to know people and they get to know you. And I hope the thing that people remember is really kind of those one-on-one moments, whether it be with the athletes sitting in a coffee shop and discussing life and bringing value to them in that way, because I remember it's not too long ago what it was like to be an athlete and going through the struggle and having someone to kind of talk to, not only about wrestling, but also talk to about, personal things and kind of move outside of that, that arena, which we're always in, or if it was things like with an athlete's okay, if it was, stepping aside and praying for an athlete before they were wrestling and making sure that they were, they were okay with that. But those small moments like that, I hope that people just learn those small little touches along the way, and the impact that had.
Well, I appreciate that. And I'm going to share an image here and launch into this next question. And this really reflects the transition that, all coaches make from being a competitive athlete to being a coach. So as you take a look at this image and take it in, what are your most memorable moments, Chase, in your coaching role at Penn?
Yeah, I think the first one, and talked about this on another video, was EIWAs in 2020. And again, I think that tournament was 3 years of really, really hard work and culture building, and really just the beginning stages of what this program is going to be. I have no doubt that there's great things that'll happen. And, I can remember some of the things that we had to struggle through those first couple of years, but I really felt like for the first time, before it had happened in spurts and in moments, but I think seeing guys really come together and fight for each other. There's a lot of guys that ended up on the backside of that early on and upsets. And I mean, the guys could have really laid down. And I think I was so proud of our individuals. And then even as our staff, how we just kind of built momentum and really were able to feed off of each other. It was truly kind of one of those moments where it was just, things were just flowing. It seemed like, all things were firing on the right cylinders. And I think that was just a testament to all the work as a staff that we had put in over the years. And then the second thing, I think, again, it just, for me, the most valuable moments are those one-on-one moments. I love seeing the guys win, and I love those moments where a guy like Artelona wins an EIWA title, or, a guy like Zaf gets his first big upset over an All-American. But even greater than that, it's those one-on-one moments. And I read this quote, and it was from a guy named Alfred Adler, and it says, "Empathy is seeing with the eyes of another, listening with the ears of another, and feeling the heart of another." And I know, Coach, we talk about that as a staff, that, it's not necessarily what you taught people, but it's how you made them feel along the way. And I think those moments and seeing, when you take 5 minutes to talk to a guy after a lift, or you take 10 minutes out in front of the palestra, it's going to be those moments that I remember probably even more than the stuff on the mat, because those are the lasting impacts that guys will take 10, 15, 20, 30 years down the road.
That's good. This is going to be the last question. I think you touched on some of these things, but we want to get a little bit more, I would say, kind of a more wide vision on this question. Is I think about when I first recruited you to the Olympic Training Center, and you came out and we started working together, and then you believed in this mission and vision we had for the PRTC, and you joined us in Philadelphia, and how you've trained with the PRTC and then transitioned into coaching at Penn Wrestling. I think just all of that as a whole, what are the most valuable lessons you will take away just from the whole experience?
Yep. I think there's a couple things here. So professionally, just from the being on staff as a Penn coach and really working with this community and this network, you learn to ask a lot of questions. It's really humbling because you really see that there are a lot of people that are smarter than you. There's a lot you can give, but there's a certain humility in being able to really learn and be open along the way. There's so many different ways to do things. And I've really, something was already big for me, but even more so now was the ability to, if I needed to call up a Clinton Motter, I needed to call up somebody, I really had that ability to do that and really learn something and kind of be wowed, time and time again. So I think there's just value in really being able to draw upon your network and your community. And then, secondly, I think, again, on the professional side of things, I'll always remember all of our meetings early on, and it seemed like they would kind of, meetings would be happening, and I didn't have much to bring. And it was my first real experience, I said earlier, in a job environment. And I'd really say I learned to always bring something to the table. Coach Reina, Roger Reina really encouraged us as a staff every time, we come that we could be honest, we could be open, and whether or not we agreed on the idea, or thought differently about something, I think, I learned the value in bringing something to the table to every meeting, this experience, and kind of one of my last thoughts with this is it's not necessarily, I guess when I moved to Philadelphia, it was really uncomfortable. I come from the West Coast. I lived in Illinois a little bit, but I'm a West Coast guy. I love the warm weather. I love, sometimes the jury days can get hard for me, and at first it was kind of hard. It was kind of hard. It was gritty. It's tough. It's not easy day in and day out. And some days you don't know what you're going to get. But I think I learned to value the people in the community more than anything. It's the community and the people that makes somewhere special and makes somewhere valuable. And I can truly say, wherever I live, Vegas might not be the last stop along the way. There may be other stops along the way, but what I'll always remember is the community. When you go to a new place and being around the right people and being around great people really make it something valuable and worthwhile.
Well, Chase, let me respond to that, and then I'll kick it to Brandon to wrap up. But, on behalf of our entire community, all of our alumni, wrestlers, family, friends, parents, fans, everybody that's been involved, you've been an absolute pleasure to have involved with the program, and you've always got a home, to touch base with. You can count on that always going forward. And we've got a front seat in the Palestra with your name on the back of it. So you are always welcome to come back and touch base, either in person or in any other way. So you've made a big mark here, and know that you're greatly appreciated.
Chase, I just want to say on behalf of the PRTC and even before the PRTC, when I had the opportunity to coach you, I'm just so proud of who you've grown into from a young man of just graduated from Cal Poly, moving into the Olympic Training Center, Colorado Springs, Colorado, and then moving to Philadelphia and joining the PRTC and then becoming an assistant coach at Penn. It's just been an honor to watch you grow from a young man to a man, and a man who genuinely cares about others. And you talked about empathy, and I think you've already started exhibiting which one of the most valuable traits as a coach, which is being empathetic. And I've seen you do that with guys on Penn's team. I've seen you do that with our PRTC guys already. And I really believe that you're going to continue to take that trait of empathy with you as you start Gold Rush in Las Vegas, Nevada. And those kids, and those young adults are going to really be blessed to have you as one of their leaders. So I just want to tell you thank you and how proud I am of you.
Thank you. It means a lot. It means a lot from both you. Slay, we've been together for 10 years, coaching me. And so, the experience from coach to athlete and then from kind of working together, it's been, there's not enough words there to say how meaningful it is. And Roger, I think, you know, like a father figure, you know, I learned so much on the side of work and development, and it was hard. It was really difficult along the way. You know, there was a lot of kind of biting down and a hard growth period there. But I think, you know, you said something along the way that a lot of the lessons you learn here, you know, so you won't even realize some of the things you learn until you move on. But I can definitely say with all confidence that I am feel well prepared to go on and do to start this academy. You know, it's been a dream for 10 years, and I'm so excited. But 4 years ago, I don't think I could have said that when I started here. But now, 4 years later, and all the experience with Penn and the PRTC has really given me a framework, has really given me skills, understanding, and knowledge and ability to kind of be able to do this. You know, granted, there's things along the way that you can't expect and forecast, but I think from a developmental standpoint and from a skill standpoint, I'm as ready as I'll ever be. And so my gratitude, it goes deep, you know. And so again, thank you guys for the opportunity and everything along the way.
Great, Chase. Well, Brandon, Chase, thank you for joining here today. You know, those young wrestlers in Las Vegas, they don't know how lucky they're going to have it working with you and their parents and their families and their coaches. You're going to make a big impact out there, and we're behind you 110%. So again, many thanks, Chase, Pami, and best wishes.
You're welcome.